If you just joined us, this is The Press. We are reaching you live from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now, here's the next leg of our conversation for today. We've got Richard Oriri. He is a politician. And he'll be joining us to analyze on the stories that we read out to you earlier. Great to have you, Richard Oriri.
It's my pleasure.
Good to have you in the studio, Mr. Richard.
It's been a long time.
Okay, so viewers, our phone lines are open, so you can call in to make your contributions or ask your questions. Quite a number of stories, but let's see how we can manage the next 20 minutes. And Vanguard newspaper, in fact, all the newspapers screaming the same thing with regards to the ministerial nominees or nomination. And then you have Vanguard says Senate stops El-Rufai, Okotete and Danladi as they await security reports and checks. Confirms Wike Keyamo. Okay. No, I'm not sure they've confirmed Keyamo, so this is actually not.
Keyamo has been confirmed.
Oh, he has been confirmed. Yeah. Okay, so you also have Alake, you have Tunji, Ojo, Party, and Fagbemi, and also Edwin, 38 others. But then with the what that happened yesterday during the session, where you had even the Senate president had to stand up, the rowdy session they had, I'm just wondering, like when I saw that, I just started thinking, even in classrooms where you have adults, they don't have or children, they don't have such rowdy sessions, that they had to go so rowdy to the extent that the Senate president had to even stand. He was screaming and asking them to be trying to make them be quiet, but it looks like it wasn't working. But that's one on the side. What are your thoughts with regards to the ministerial nominations? All those that have been asked to take a bow and leave, and those that have been stalled.
Thank you. Good morning once again. Good morning, Nigerians. The issue of ministerial nomination and screening that just took place a few days ago is politics, and we never expected that, especially me, myself, as a person, as a citizen of this country.
Are you talking about the candidates?
One, the nomination falls short of our expectation.
How do you mean?
Personally,
okay.
My expectation from the beginning was that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a Democrat and an accountant who is development oriented, would have tailored his thinking towards technocrats more than politicians. But what we have seen from the nomination submitted to the Senate for the screening, what we have seen is that the ministers, they are being dominated by politicians still, just like recycling, and over 80 to 90% of the ministers are core politicians, and they have been occupied. They have occupied one or two positions in government, and if you check their background, the antecedent majority of them, they perform below expectations from where they are coming from. But today we are having them again as minister to supervise over government institutions, and it's somehow a pity, but we have to take it the way he has given to us. Let us wait. Let us not preempt them. We should wait and see what they have for Nigerians. And coming to the angle of the area, what happened during the screening session yesterday, especially when it was the turn of the former Minister State. Labour, Keyamo son. There was division because one session of the Senate were on the path to protecting the institution, which is the Senate as an institution of government, and the other parts of the Senate were out to protecting the interests of party and the president. And at the end, they just have to respect the person that nominated them, which is the president of the country. He has to intervene before the take a bow session came up again. Yes, Keyamo, in the first instance, he did very wrong, under the past administration. And from among all the ministers nominated, I think is the only minister that served in the previous administration. If not, the current administration tried as much as possible not to bring in somebody that have served in the previous administration under the cabinet of President Buhari, but Kiamo scared through, and I think that was based on what he did during the electioneering campaign and his contributions to the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
So are you saying that this nomination is just
like
settlement?
Like a compensation. So if you look at the entire nomination, you will see clearly that it's about compensation. Reward is about compensation, but he tried as much as possible to see how he will pick the best from among other politicians who assisted him. But he sounds, to me, we're tired, and that's why you can still see some persons who have not performed to the expectation of their states of origin,
even as state governors.
Even as state governors, they are still surfacing again to serve as minister. But in any case, we just have to watch and see what they have for Nigerians.
Okay, Mr. Richard, based on your submissions now, it doesn't seem to me like your expectations are quite high from the incoming ministers. It doesn't seem to me that you are optimistic that they are going to repay the confidence that has been put in them by the president by nominating them to saddle the affairs of the economy in various sectors.
If you look at all of them, all the ministers nominated, the people that have been with us here in Nigeria, they know, I can say they know the problem of the country. And for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to have selected them from among thousands of Nigerians, millions of Nigerians, I think they will have to see that opportunity as a golden opportunity, which they will use to correcting their past errors. My expectation, yes, I just as I started earlier, the names that came up after long expectation fall short of what, as a person, what I was expecting from our president. But we cannot preempt them. Let us wait and see if they will have the boldness and the political willpower to change from their past behaviors, because some of them, I have so much regard for the few of the women, especially this nominee from Imo State. Because I watched her screening, and from the background where she is coming from, she is a medical doctor by profession, and she later joined the banking sector, where she rose to the rank of MD of Zenith Bank, and she's a chartered financial analyst, and she has done so much in bringing Zenith Bank to where it is today. It was from her capacity, competency, that made the current governor of Imo State to call for her service from Zenith Bank, and she went to Imo State and she was appointed commissioner for finance in Imo State before now President Tinubu picked her to come and serve in his administration as a minister. Then another woman again is the former women APC women leader. She's sound. She's so young, but what is in her is too deep. I watched her screening as well. She came from the medical background too, and at the end she joined politics. She has served in Cross River as a minister for health.
Commissioner for Health.
Commissioner for Health in Rivers State, and she performed very well. Even as a women leader in APC, all of us, we watched her how she discharged her duties, especially during the electioneering period.
All right.
And I think as she's coming on board now to serve Nigeria, she's below the age of 40. So I think she will not betray the trust from the Nigerian youth.
All right. Let's shift a little bit before we end this particular discussion on the ministerial nominations. I'm going to ask, because you talked about the female nominees. Now let's talk about the male. I saw a particular result of one of the ex-governors, and then the highest that he had was an SSC. So we're talking about it, me and Francis, before you came in, and then we said of all the millions of Nigerians who have actually attained to some level, you have someone who is an SSC EO holder, and he has to chair or head professors, doctors, technocrats if he becomes the minister. What are your thoughts in that regard? That's one on the side, because you talked about those who have been there, they have the qualifications. You've talked about the female. So now let's talk about the male. When you have ex-governors who have just SSC, and they're going to head people who are professors and technocrats in that field. That's one on the side. And then secondly, I hear people keep saying that they're trying to put a particular office to some of these nominees, and then someone came out to say, okay, maybe somebody like Wike, they might decide to give him Minister of Niger Delta, and then somebody like Edu, like you talked about, they'll give her make her the Minister of Women Affairs and all. So in your regard, how do you actually see this being shared out after the screening?
First was the issue of the first issue you raised was about
the SSC.
The SSC. As I said earlier, our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a core politician, he's a businessman, and he has excelled in all the fields that he has actually managed. And he will not look down on the political angle in any decision that is taken. And as a politician, the names of these ministers is submitted, and the number, the highest in the history of this country, 48 ministerial nominees, the highest in the history of this country. So the man the president tried as much as possible to compensate some persons that have really contributed to his election. And in doing that, he has to increase the number. And don't be surprised that more names will still surface. Because as it is now, yes, he loved this country. And he has fought seriously for democracy to stand in Nigeria. Right from the time of Awolowo to Emko Abiola and all of those, Nadeko and all those things. So this is an opportunity for him to really stamp his name. You get my point. So he's doing all he can. He's doing all he can to ensure that Nigeria is stabilized on the political angle. But
are you saying that in terms of compensating people?
In doing that,
in
doing that, he was not as well equally looking the other way in the area of politics. Now he has been elected as our president. Anybody saying that I am not seeing anybody taking this position from him, because as the announcement was made by INEC, I contested the election.
They're still in the court.
They are still in the court, but
so it will be sub judice if you have to make such a
statement. The first time in the history of this country and Africa as a whole to see 3 presidential candidates winning 12 states each. President Tinubu won in 12 states. Atiku won in 12 states. Obi won in 11 states plus FCT, making it 12. The first time in the history of this country. Then Kwankwaso won in Kano. He has been pronounced elected president of this country because he has the highest number of vote cast. And he is the winner. So now, he is the winner. Now, he's looking beyond 2023, 2024, 2025. What he's looking at now is second tenure. And most of these people he is bringing on board to lead as ministers in the different institutions of government in Nigeria, they will be the ones to assisting him to succeed in his second tenure.
So are you saying regardless of qualification now?
Qualification, regardless of qualification. These are core politicians who are leaders.
Are you stepping down on qualifications now?
No,
it doesn't matter.
Richard.
No, qualification matters. Qualification matter a lot. It matter a lot. But if you look at, one is qualification, the other one is experience. If you look at the man, despite his own level, the own level that he submitted, it doesn't mean that he has no capacity to lead as minister. If you check his background,
Mr. Richard, the nominee we are talking about here is former Governor Bello Matawalle.
Yes.
A former governor of a state in Nigeria.
Yes.
Imagine a man with his highest level of academic qualification being the SSCE, heading a ministry like the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health. Can you help our
Ministry of Education?
Or Ministry of Education? Can you help our audience put some perspective to this?
That is one of the reasons.
Because you talked about experience, you talked about capacity. I need you to elaborate on the type of capacity you're talking about.
All the ministries mentioned by you. If you go to the state level as a governor, he supervises over those ministries as governor.
Okay.
Because as the executive head, he appoints commissioners. He appoints commissioners who manage these ministries on his behalf. For him, he hired them. So, if he was able to do that in his state, and coming to Nigeria, any ministry given to him will not be strange to him, because there are ministries that he has supervised over as a governor. But that does not mean that selecting somebody to be minister of this country. That is why from the start of this conversation, I said our expectation, especially my own expectation, fall short of what I expected from the president.
Yeah, but
because to me, he will go the angle of bringing technocrats. If you go outside this country,
like to cut you short here now.
No, I expect that the president will even go to look for brains from outside the country, the shore of this country, like Babangida did during his time in 1985, when he became head of state. What he did first was to go around the country looking for the best brains and imported them into the country to come and serve their fatherland. I thought President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would do the same, because he's coming from that angle too. He read abroad, almost all his businesses, he did everything outside the country before he decided to come to Nigeria and now serve the country that is his own. And we have them in thousands outside the shore of this country. So, looking at all the names of the ministers, ministerial designate, ministers designate now, if you check all the list, you will not see one person from outside the shore of this country. Like Edu. Yes, she read in Nigeria, Betty Edu. She schooled in Nigeria, primary, second, even university was University Cross River, was in Cross River. It was her master's that she went outside the country to read. So you cannot say somebody, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not see one person outside the shore of this country.
So now you're contradicting yourself, because you said experience, qualification, and then politics.
Yes, that is why I said from the beginning of our conversation, I said the nomination falls short of our expectation.
But now you said
the nomination falls short of our expectation as an individual or as a collective. Now that the nominations has been submitted,
yes,
your expectations from them.
My expectation from them, as I have said it, my expectation from them is that all of us will have to be calm and wait and see if they will respect the opportunity given to them by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and use this opportunity to correct their past mistakes.
So if you have issues like when they complained about one of the ministers who was a state minister, Festus Keyamo, and then how he was summoned, but then he refused to. Don't you think that being a state minister now being a federal minister, it was the same thing?
Ordinarily, if not for the intervention of the president, ordinarily the Senate were supposed to step down that nomination because one, he's a lawyer by profession, and he knows the penalty for not respecting institution of government. And as a lawyer, a minister serving this country, senators and House of Rep members, they are our eyes and everything in government. They summoned him to come and give account of what was happening in his own ministry, and he shunned them. He refused to honor their invitation.
Even as a state minister?
Even as a minister, even as a lawyer first, not just as a minister. As a lawyer who knows the repercussion of what the decision he was going to take, he still stood on his ground and refused to honor the invitation. Ordinarily, they are supposed to step down his nomination completely. But for the intervention of the president, hey, he's scared through. But let us watch and see if they will correct their past mistakes. Okay, then
we'll keep our fingers crossed, just like Mr. Richard have said, for us to see if they will correct their past mistakes. And taking us further now, Mr. Richard, I want to ask you a question. But before my question, I want to show you a footage before we proceed to the next segment of the program. All right, now, Mr. Richard, the last time I checked, you were a chieftain of the Social Democratic Party.
Very well.
And we've had quite a number of engagements on this platform where we talked about various issues bordering on the state of the nation, talking about the political system in Nigeria, talking about the various political parties. And right now we are having Mr. Richard in the APC. What has changed?
Nothing has changed. I am a politician and I'm a Nigerian. Before I decide to join politics, to be in politics, first was the interest of my community. How I can serve my community before I get old and leave this world. And you can't serve your community very well except you are in government.
Please give us 1 minute. Let's quickly talk to this person. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
To participate in your online program.
All right, please tell us your name or where you're calling us from.
My name is Barrister Chinedu. I'm calling from Enugu.
All right, go ahead, Barrister Chinedu.
Annabel, good morning. I'm watching you from Enugu.
Great
good morning to you.
Great to hear from you, Barrister Chinedu. Go ahead.
Okay, you mentioned so many things while in the course of your discussion. I had the issue of a seat at home, how we, the Southeasterners, have fared. One. The issue of your Richard Olidi there, how he has cross-competed from SDP now to APC, and so many other things. Even the ministerial nominees, some that had thought while on their screening and now, but my particular interest lies on the issue of the present administration.
Okay.
he was saying when Babangida assumed office, he made the best of brains across the globe. As he expected Tinubu to make same. The problem we have in Nigeria is that Nigerians are paper tigers. Nigerians are paper tigers. We are experts in write-ups. We are experts in write-ups. Forgetting about somebody with first school living certificate, I was watching with keen interest. I saw somebody who said he was born 1980 and joined primary school 1984. And another document showed that he was born 1982. So contradictions everywhere. The Bible said that when the head is sick, all the body parts are sick. So they can differentiate what is happening there from what is happening from above. So whether somebody has first school living certificate or not, go for the quality of the person. We know what is happening. All over Nigeria, we know what is happening. The problem we have is that we neglect those who has what it takes. And they are going for those paper tigers, professors, PhD, this on paper. They cannot deliver. If I were to be Tinubu, I will go for the best, no matter what your grade is. Technocrat does not mean when you have a professorship or PhD or master's, or technocrat is the ability to think outside the tank.
All right.
That is technocrat, not about being a professor. Finally, because of your guest really is contradicting himself, because so many things he said, making use of people outside Nigeria, and the best way doing his side, the thing does not rhyme. So let me just stop here and give other callers. All right,
before you go, Barrister Chinedu, in one word, how is Enugu today? How was Enugu yesterday, especially with the sit-at-home order?
Enugu yesterday is hostile, even though people are trying to.
Okay, I think you.
Enugu is always fine. You know, the problem we have is that if the government in power should release Nnamdi Kanu, people will be free.
All right.
But notwithstanding, yesterday being Monday, people move their business everywhere is normal.
All right.
But people are still panicking. But the governor is trying. Governor is making every effort to secure the environment so that people will be free. He has tried the best. I like the way of his modus operandi.
Thank you so much, Barrister Chinedu from Enugu State. Thank you for calling us.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Orji, and then Mr. Francis. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. SMD.
Beautiful morning to you too. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My appreciation and then for the KAFTAN TV for giving us this ample opportunity to express our mind. Thank you very much. Let me quickly respond to the issue of withholding the confirmation of El-Rufai, Okotete, and then Danladi. You see, I always ask myself and Nigerians, when are we going to begin to respect our institutions? Let us take Magu's issue as a case study. You remember the security tell the Senate not to confirm Magu because he has so many issues to answer. What happened? What is the result today? Understand my point? Even though there are so many arguments on the process and the kind of screening that is going on, to the extent that people were asking, is it screening or introduction? You understand? Because I strongly believe you and the Francis there and the other audience knows exactly what the word screening means. You understand? So many things are going wrong. And these are the policy makers. These are the people who will politicize the issue of the nation. So if they cannot get things right, who are they going to get it right? We are talking about the policy makers, the third arm of government. You have executive, the executive did their own. Now they push the Senate to the legislature. Look at what we are experiencing. To the extent that if you are a governor, they will tell you just go and go. If you are a senator, they said it's in their tradition, they say go and go. Without going through, the antecedents and what happens during your time, what can you do, and so on and so forth.
All right.
We Nigerians individually, we don't have any opportunity to view them. So I think in this process, there should be a joint committee to go on the screening issue, including the media personnel. Remember the importance of journalism. Remember, Thomas Jefferson made mention something, and he chose the press without the government. You understand? So many things. I don't know when are we going to correct issues. I don't know when are we going to begin to respect our institution instead of respecting individuals. That's my worry, honestly speaking. If we cannot get things right now, when are we going to get it right? If it was this time around, maybe we can patch the cracking wall if we can get it right. But if you cannot get it right, when are we going to get it right? Thank you very much. I remain SMB from Lagos.
SMB from Lagos. Thank you so much. It's always glad to hear from you. I think, let me just take this last call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Annabel.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, this is Akim.
Akim from Lagos. Go ahead. You have less than 1 minute.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyway, let me just make a kind of recap of what everybody has said there. First and foremost, my own argument is that if Matawale that is having NCE can make the list, I don't see reason why Malam Nasser El-Rufai, with all his capacity, no matter what anybody thinks about, that is not confirmed up to now, and we have not had what is the reason behind that, because I don't really see a reason why El-Rufai should not be confirmed. He merits it from all angles, no matter what anybody would even say. That being said, then I want to make emphasis. Still, it may not be part of your topic. I'm going to talk about that issue of Niger. I still want to emphasize about it. It's not as if I'm in support of the coup in Niger, but what I'm afraid of is ECOWAS invading or going after the Nigerian coup plotter, the civilian over there, and Africa, even Nigeria itself, because of our border. And also, by extension, I don't want the war going on in Ukraine and Russia and United States itself to extend to Africa, because that is a kind of link. So, and then we cannot be fighting for France, because if you look at all the coups that has been happening, it's because of the France iron hand on Africans. So they should just find a way of letting that army or the coup plotter at least find a way of returning back to democracy. Not by war.
Thank you so much, Akim.
Cannot fight for the Westerners. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Akim, from calling us from Lagos. Thank you. All right, I think we have to just leave it there. Conclude on your thoughts before we take the last call.
Okay.
You talked about from SDP to APC.
Yes, and even before the SD, I was a core member of APC. I contested local government chairman under APC in 2016 before I joined KAFTAN.
So you just keep shifting from
before
APC
I joined
to
KAFTAN, before I because politics is not a profession. Politics is not a profession.
But it's about ideology.
It's about ideology. Yes. So I contested the local government chairman under APC, and when I pulled out of politics for that period, I joined first ADM, African Dialogue Mission, in the research department of African Dialogue Mission, before the establishment of KAFTAN TV, and I was moved from ADM to KAFTAN TV. And when my principal, Prince Adewale Adebayo, had the interest of leading the country as president, I have no other option than to stand by him.
So what happened?
Yes, because I saw that he has the capacity and he has the wisdom, the means to deliver to Nigerians.
So what happened?
But your principal is still a member of the SDP. Your principal is still a member of the SDP.
I am telling you basically now that I was in SDP basically for Prince Adewale Adebayo's ideology and philosophy.
And not for the SDP's ideology.
And not for the SDP's ideology. Because if he wins as president, everything about the party will change.
So did you move because he didn't win?
No, for me, I want to get what exactly your personal ideology is as a politician.
My personal ideology is to deliver dividends of democracy to my communities.
To deliver them. But then, just like I premised my question, on before we got started, we've had a lot of interactions on this very platform where you said certain things about the All Progressives Congress, the APC, especially before the electioneering period, during the campaign period, where a whole lot of things were said about the APC.
Not from me.
From you. I have hard evidences.
I was supporting Prince Adewale Adebayo. In my state, if you go to Benue State,
what I'm saying,
hold on. If you go to Benue State, if you go to all the APC candidates for other positions, they know quite well my impact in their election.
No, I'm talking about.
Hold on now. I said I was in SDP basically for Prince Adewale Adebayo.
Yes.
And not for any.
Yes, I'm taking you by your word.
Yes.
Now, before the election period, I still want to ask, what exactly has changed, and at what point did you discover that it is time for me to return to the APC?
The reason is that I have so many of my friends who are in government in APC.
So
and hold on. No. So many of my friends, like Honorable Zenwachukwueze, he is a House of Representative member from Ebonyi Huku Federal Constituency. The first motion he moved on the floor of a House of Representative was how federal government will link Ebonyi State from his own community, Ngbo, through my community, Agla district in my local government, through other local government to Tukpo. You understand? He is an APC person and a friend. And what I am telling you is that any government that sees the interest of my community sees my interest. That is my focus.
Let's
and I have a senator from Ebonyi State as well now, presently.
Our time is fast spent.
I have a senator from Ebonyi State as well now, Paristan Ebonyi, who is linking the road from Ebonyi local government through my community, Jigban, to Igumale.
Thank you.
I have a House of Representative in APC who is my core candidate in the election. That is Philip Agbese.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. For the establishment of a college of agriculture in my local government. So I have so many reasons why I have joined APC.
We'll continue this conversation.
I just went back to my former house. To my former.
In one word, Richard Oriri, yes or no, you left because your principal Adewale Adebayo didn't come out as the president. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes.
Only yes.
That's why you left.
That's why I left back to my party.
All right. Thank you so much, Nigerians. Yes. We'll see you again tomorrow. My name is Annabel Orji. Good morning.
And I am Francis Adeniyi. You do have a beautiful day ahead of you.